Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to Camp Bud Media. Josh here. Today I just wanted to hop in and do a quick reaction to the Haddonfield Nightmare 2. That's right, there's a sequel coming to Braden Timmons' awesome Halloween fan film. I actually just watched the first Haddonfield Nightmare earlier today to freshen up on everything, and I actually forgot how good it was, especially like that final act. Like there's so much going on in that final act that really makes it feel like a really good Halloween movie. Let's see if we got anyone in here. See, somebody's watching, not sure who it is, but I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do my reaction, check out the trailer, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's load it up here. Haddonfield Nightmare 2. Oh, good. It's like almost a 2-minute trailer, too. This is going to be good. All right. I'm just going to set up a little bit more here. I'm going to play it with the audio just playing. If I start getting feedback, I'll stop it, and then I'll throw some headphones in and do it that way. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and go. Very Halloween-y already. Oh, there he is. That's a great shot from the first movie.
For 42 years, he has terrorized this
Oh,
town.
John's back.
Tonight, it ends.
And Halloween ends tonight again.
We need to stop this.
Oh, Lauren's back. Good. Michael looks so good in this movie, like or in the original Haddonfield Nightmare.
We need a plan of
They
attack.
killed it with the mask.
We have to get these people out of town.
How could he still be alive?
This is Officer Williams. Our night isn't over yet.
That's a good way to end that. Oh, some blood as well. Whose blood? Awesome. Oh, it's not called Haddonfield Nightmare 2. The Last Nightmare. Imagine Freddy shows up in this one to fight Michael. Oh, Indiegogo this Halloween. Make sure you don't miss out on that. You've got to get your Blu-ray this time around. I made sure to get my Blu-ray for, let me grab it here. Top out here. That was so good. Nope, you got something else playing in the background now. Michael Audrey Myers. What I was saying was I've got my own copy of the Haddonfield Nightmare here on Blu-ray. Really great sequel to H2O if you guys haven't seen it. I highly recommend jumping into it. Resurrection just totally fucks up H2O, and this is a worthy sequel, so I'm really excited to hop in for Haddonfield Nightmare 2. Who do we got here in the chat? Courtney Reed, how's it going, my man? See if I can make you a mod somehow here. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. Daniel Darkmoon, how's it going? So excited. Elbow cough. Good vibes. You got a little bit of a cold there, man? Yes, it looks so good. Actually, I'm going to bring it up again. I'm just going to jump through and look at a few little things from it. Let me see here. Get that back open again. It just gets me hyped, especially after Halloween Ends. Like I'm going to talk a little bit of Halloween Ends in this video, but needless to say, for me, I found it an incredible disappointment. But at the same time, I kind of liked the movie, so it's weird. It's like I like the movie, but I also hate the movie at the same time. So it's my feelings are all over the place on it. Just brought up again. Let's see here. Don't worry, we'll get you in there somehow, Courtney. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, to be honest. Share screen, run tab. Let's take a look at this again. I'll mute it this time. There's a couple shots I wanted to look at here. So this shot of Michael, I don't know if this is from something new they filmed or from the previous Haddonfield Nightmare, but I actually don't remember this shot of Michael from the previous, let me go back, from the previous movie. I love that mask. Like, they did such a great job with the mask. Like, it looks like the H2O mask, but like a good version of the H2O mask. And I know there's like 5 or 6 masks used in H2O, but like, if they could have just tried a little bit harder and had a mask like this, it would have been so much cooler. Or even like the H6 mask they use at the beginning of H2O. They used it for the opening and then just used their CGI masks and weird masks after that. But this mask is like so well done, Braden. Like, you did such a good job with this mask. Oh, there's another good shot of it. Like, that's the best shot of it from the first movie. All the cracks and stuff after like sitting around for 22 years. I'm kind of curious what Michael had been up to during that time. Like, was he just chilling? Was he like killing people in other cities? Hopefully they'll mention what he was doing during that time in Haddonfield Nightmare 2, or The Last Nightmare as it's called. And I'd also like them to pick up on the plot thread from the first one where they're talking about, like, was it Michael and H2O? It was never confirmed. The DNA didn't match. So I'm kind of curious to see if this is even going to actually be Michael, or if they confirm that the Michael from H2O wasn't Michael, because they still haven't touched on how did Michael survive that movie. Because as we all know, at the end of that movie, Laurie chops off Michael's head and the movie ends. So Haddonfield Nightmare is going to have to explain how Michael got out of that eventually. Or they can just leave it ambiguous. I'm honestly fine with that too. Let's see what else we got here. We got John Tate, another shot of Michael. This alone, this is a shot here of this person's house with the pumpkin. It gives me such good Halloween vibes, because the first movie had really strong Halloween atmosphere. You were seeing Halloween decorations all over the place, and Happy Halloween this, and I just think they did a really good job of actually making it feel like it was Halloween, especially with all the trick-or-treaters running around and stuff. Love that. That's like my favorite thing about most, or not most, but some of the Halloween movies is some of them really have really great Halloween atmosphere. The one that comes to mind is Halloween 4. Like, that movie's just completely dripping in Halloween atmosphere. Probably the most out of maybe any Halloween. I got a shot of... Let me go back here before Michael stabs the pumpkin. Looks like Lauren coming up behind Michael to hit him with something. It's like Michael's got a cutout for himself this time around. Everyone's after him. It's kind of almost like a Halloween kill situation where he shows back up, kills all these people, and now like the police department and like John and his daughter Lauren and her friend, like, they're all going to want to finish Michael off for good once they realize he hasn't been defeated, because the last movie ends with John beating the ever-living shit out of Michael with like a pipe or like a what was it, some sort of metal thing, just like beat him. And then he grabbed the deputy, I think it was, and as they were walking away, you see Michael's hand twitch, letting you know he's still alive. So I'm hoping this one picks up directly from the end of the last one, kind of like a Halloween 1, Halloween 2, or even Halloween Kill situation, because that's my favorite type of sequels, the ones that pick up immediately after the end of the last one. Let's see here. So I'm just going to touch on this briefly. Oh, actually, something else I want to say about Halloween Ends. I got a little bit on Halloween Ends. Haddonfield Nightmare 2. Got a little bit of extra information about it. Let's see here. If I can find it. I know the music for this one is going to be done by Mike Givante, who did the music for the previous movie and also Halloween Inferno. So if you've heard his music before, you know how good his score is probably going to be for this movie, because he always kills it. Okay, that's why all inboxes. That would help. All right. So for cinematography for this movie, we've got Zach Dion and Gian Mancini. I'm sure they're going to do an excellent job. The first movie honestly had really great cinematography, just like shots of the town, just lots of establishing can't speak, lots of establishing shots and things like that. And even just like the shots in the actual house and stuff were really well done. So I'm excited to see what they do for the final Nightmare. Almost called it Haddonfield Nightmare 2. I guess it's the same thing, but Mike Schiavone as the music, Foley, and set design. So he's working triple time in this movie. And then Tyler Falcoa as the sound mixer. He's done a few other fan films, and he's really good at it. And, of course, we have Braden Timmons back as the director. He did an excellent job in the first Haddonfield Nightmare, so I'm really excited to see what he does in the final Nightmare. Can't wait for this Halloween spirit. You got this. Yeah, they definitely do got this. Like, I go into fan films usually not with like super high expectations, so I can allow them to surprise me if I think if they end up being really good. And Braden really, really surprised me with Haddonfield Nightmare. Like the beginning starts off nice and slow, and introducing all the characters. You're getting to know Lauren, John Tate's daughter. You get to see John Tate again, and it's just really nice getting caught up with those characters. And then all of a sudden, Michael's back and he's slashing people up, and it builds up to this great finale at one of their friends' houses where the friends are just chilling at the house. Michael shows up and kills them. The other friends show up. One goes in by himself to see what they're doing. That's my buddy Cody Falk, who made his own Friday the 13th fan film, Voorhees. Anyway, he goes back inside. He gets slashed up. And then Lauren and her best friend, they go inside to check things out, and they realize Michael's back and everyone's dead, and they let out this huge scream. And that should do a really good job with the finale, in my opinion, because it just keeps going and going and going and going. And then the final set piece is back at Smith's Grove, where they have their like final showdown with Michael. So I'm hoping it picks up right from there for the next movie. Greetings from Ecuador, Elbow Cough. Greetings from Ecuador, or greetings from Canada. How's Ecuador? Is it warm there? Not too bad. What's going on in Ecuador? Courtney, hope it's better than Halloween Ends. Well, I don't know how much of a challenge that would be. I've already told Braden I like Haddonfield Nightmare more than Haddonfield Ends, which is true. The finale is just better in my opinion. But yeah, I suppose we might as well talk about some Halloween Ends since we've been talking about Haddonfield Nightmare. But yeah, Halloween Ends. Where do we even start? So I went into this movie with basically not knowing anything at all. I did my best to avoid all of the trailers, all the spoilers. I literally had about 25 different words muted on Twitter so that nothing was coming up in my feed. The only thing I knew was that there was going to be somebody in the movie named Corey who might be a second killer. And spoilers, I mean, I'm talking about the movie. Hello. There might be someone in the movie named Corey who might be a second killer. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I know Halloween has kind of tackled that before with like Halloween 4 and 5, where Jamie Lloyd, who was Laurie Strodes' daughter, she ended up forming this weird like connection with Michael. And then I'm sure a lot of you know this, maybe some of you don't. In Halloween, at the end of Halloween 4, she was like, she had the knife and she was going to be like a killer or whatever, and Loomis was going to shoot her, and he's like, no. Halloween 5, she was supposed to, I think, like be a killer in Halloween 5 and actually be killing people. And I think they decided that audiences weren't necessarily ready for that, so they scrapped it, and we got the Halloween 5 we did get, R.I.P. Rachel. And yeah, I don't know. I like and dislike the direction they went with it at the same time. Like, I do like the idea of this guy having this horrible accident at the start of the movie. There's a kid who's fucking around and playing games, and he ends up getting knocked off like the second or third or fourth floor of his house, and he crashes down and dies, and Corey's blamed for it. I like all that. The intro, I love the use of the blue font and the letters from Halloween 3. Love that. And also the score in this one, how it's like a little bit synthy like Halloween 3. I really like that they did that. But I really did not expect in the third chapter of a trilogy for this new character to come in and all of a sudden be like the focus of the movie, and everyone else is shoved to the side basically, except for Jamie Lee Curtis, and even she is kind of pushed aside for this Corey character. I do like the slow progression of what's happening to him. How he starts off as a nice kid, and then he gets bullied. He gets angry and angrier and angrier, and then he has his run-in with Michael in the sewers, and there's like that exchange of something. Like there's something happened there. Some people saying there was no exchange of anything, but like clearly what Michael did and what Corey had done was flashing between them, and it did something to Corey, because then he went out and immediately killed someone like 2 seconds later. I know he was kind of backed into the situation, but he was basically instantly a killer after he left his tunnel. I think if they took his whole story arc, and I know a lot of people have said this, but this is how I feel about it too. If they took his whole story arc and it was actually a sequel to Halloween Ends, like we have our big finale with Laurie and Michael, they have it out in the whatever Halloween Ends could have been, a big showdown throughout the movie. Michael dies. Let's say Michael dies. Laurie can die or live. It's not a big deal. And then the next movie, just have it be like Halloween Returns, but it's an anthology movie, and that's where we get Corey. And somehow he has this like descent into madness. Like let's say he finds the mask or something instead of actually having an encounter with Michael, and he still kind of has the same descent. And by the end of the movie, he's basically just walking around as Michael, and he goes after Laurie. And you could still kind of have that whole showdown with Corey, and then he could even live, and then the movie could end with his body being gone and like set up for another possible anthology movie. But instead, we spent a huge amount of the runtime like getting to know Corey and following his descent into madness. And spoilers, at the end of the movie, he ends up like going to Laurie's house to kill her. He gets immediately fucked up by Laurie. She shoots him twice off of the second floor, and he falls down. And then he ends up stabbing himself in the throat, and then Michael comes in for his mask and ends up breaking his neck. So we spent all this time on this character for him to ultimately have done nothing. Like he didn't, like he killed a few people, sure, like some of his bullies and stuff. And him and Michael tag teamed a nurse. Him and Michael teamed up, and I said that wrong. Him and Michael teamed up, and they both helped kill like a nurse and a doctor together, which was weird, but it kind of worked. Courtney saying, or Silver Shamrock on the mask at the end of Ends, and H3 theme plays. Yes, Courtney sent me this video where it's like showing Laurie and Hawkins at the end of the movie, and then at the end of the movie it shows Michael's mask, and it zooms in, shows the Silver Shamrock logo from Halloween 3, and then the Halloween 3 theme plays, and it cuts to like Halloween 3 end credits. That would have actually been an amazing ending. Like, even though Halloween 3 isn't set in the world of the other Halloween movies, there could have been some cool like storyline just in the background subtly that like Michael's mask is a Silver Shamrock mask, and maybe the radio tower, which they were putting heavy focus on, maybe the radio tower was like putting out the Silver Shamrock signals. Like there's a lot of cool shit they could have done with that. They really, really wanted to connect it to Halloween 3. Maybe they were trying to distance from Halloween 3 enough because they knew that their movie was going to be controversial on its own, but who knows? Yeah, I wouldn't mind the Corey stuff if it was in just another movie, but in this movie on its own, I wasn't feeling it. Like I went into this expecting this whole movie of like Michael returns and he's slashing up Haddonfield again. Lindsay's in danger, and Hawkins in danger, and Allison's in danger, and Laura's in danger, and like maybe some new characters that they introduce are in danger. Like maybe Allison has a new best friend and whatnot. And I fully expected to go into this movie losing Laurie, Lindsay, and Hawkins. I thought they were all going to die, and Allison was going to be the final one. Like I really thought that they were going to kill off a bunch of legacy characters in this movie. And turns out Lindsay works at a bar and reads tarot cards, and that's it for her. She doesn't do anything in this movie. She's basically an afterthought. I know that they wrote the script for Halloween Ends before they were going to include Lindsay, but it's like, if you had her in Kills, why weren't you going to have her in Ends too? Like It's just kind of stupid. It's like they weren't fully thinking things through. It's like they were just kind of doing whatever. And also, there's no way they had this Corey movie planned all along, because originally the third movie in this trilogy was supposed to take place on the same night as Halloween 2018 and Kills. How the fuck would they have done the Corey storyline in the same night as those two? They couldn't have. It would have made like no sense at all. There'd been no setup for it whatsoever. So obviously at some point during Kills, or I'm not honestly sure when, they decided to go this complete different direction, and I think it failed. Like, as much as I actually, like, I don't hate the movie. If I ignore it as a sequel to 2018 Kills and just watch it as like a solo film, which is what I did the second time I watched it, it's fine as a solo film. Like, it looks great. The score is absolutely amazing. Great cinematography. All the characters are pretty well written for the most part. Like, the writing has definitely gotten better from Halloween Kills, that for sure, and so has the acting. But it didn't land for me as the finale of the trilogy. Like, I expected so much from this movie, and really, I got a 3-minute fight in the kitchen at the end between Laurie and Michael. That was not good enough. Like, as much as I'm glad that they had that fight, and I'm spoilers, I'm going to say what happens. They had that fight. Laurie ends up fucking up Michael, and she ends up killing him, and she lives. Like, I'm very, 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 very happy that Laurie survived this time around. Like, I didn't want another timeline with Laurie Strode dead, and I didn't think we were going to get out of this movie with her not dying. I thought for sure her and Michael were going to die together. But just the way they got there, it was almost like, oh, we'll have this movie about Corey, and oh yeah, right, we have to do Michael Myers and Laura. Here it is for 2 seconds at the end. It's kind of insulting, honestly. Like, I'm watching this movie, I'm halfway through, and I'm like, where's Michael Myers? What the fuck is going on? Like, why is there so much focus on this Corey guy? Oh. Yo, the tower sending signals would be a crazy idea. Well, I thought there was going to be something going on with the tower, because in 2018, you see the tower on the TV, I believe. And then in Kills, in the flashback, they're like walking and talking, and you can see the tower in the background. And then this movie opens, Halloween Ends, opens with the radio tower and like them talking on the radio and stuff. And immediately I was like, yeah, here we go. The radio tower's got something to do with it. It's sending signals to Michael, or is doing something. And obviously, now that we've seen the movie, we know that doesn't happen. They end up just burning the tower, and it means pretty much nothing. But I think it would have been cool if, like, say, Courtney was saying with the Silver Shamrock idea, if they did go that route to have Michael with a Silver Shamrock mask and have it be revealed at the very end that the signals were coming from the tower. And maybe when Corey burns the tower, it, I don't know, transfers the evil back to Michael or something. I don't know. There's so many different routes they could have gone with this movie that I think would have been better than what we got. And like, I wish we had at least gotten one encounter with Lindsay and Michael, or Hawkins and Michael. Like, nobody, even aside from Corey and like the nurse and the doctor that gets killed by them, nobody even knows Michael Myers is back until the last like 15 minutes of this movie. Laurie, he literally walks in Laurie's house. She's like, oh, I guess Michael's here. Like, no reaction basically whatsoever. And then they fight and it's over in 5 minutes. Like, that's kind of ridiculous for the ending of a trilogy. Like, it's kind of insulting to the fans. And I know people like this movie, but they could have done a lot better. Yes, Chad, I'm stirring some pots here, but like, this was not a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy that was set up. This movie feels like thematically, I guess you can kind of connect it to them with like the stuff that's going on, the like the social commentary stuff. But when you watch Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, and then you watch Ends, it feels so disconnected. It almost feels like it was never a trilogy, and we got Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills together at like one point, and then like several years down the line, we just happened to get Halloween Ends as a sequel to it. And that's almost how I might watch it in the future, not viewing it as a trilogy, but viewing it as two movies and another movie. Because as a trilogy ender, it just flat out sucked. Like, it was not what I wanted to see out of the final Halloween movie. It just wasn't at all. And I'm glad that some of you liked it. I see a lot of people breaking their backs and bending over backwards on Twitter to defend this movie, and I'm really happy that some people really love this. But I want to love it. Like, we wanting to dislike it or wanting it to be my biggest disappointment in like 20 years in horror movies. But I just don't. I can't defend it. It's just I really, really, really was disappointed in that movie. Like, when I watched Halloween Kills, I walked out being like, what the fuck was that movie? But I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was good, but I didn't hate it. But I walked out of Halloween Ends being utterly disappointed. Like, there was just, I knew I was overreacting, but I was like, I don't even know if I can watch this trilogy again after seeing this movie. It was a real letdown. Let's see here. I'm at work, but didn't want to miss your live. Super fan of horror films here. Well, I'm glad you could join me even just for a little bit while you're at work. Like, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come and join me in the chat. And yes, as you can see behind me, I'm also a super fan of horror films. I've got my Friday the 13th poster, my Nightmare on Elm Street poster, my 2 Ghostface masks, Welcome to Camp Crystal Lake sign, Elm Street sign, my Myers mask, all my NECAs are all my NECAs are over there. I got Scream, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Chucky, Hellraiser, Friday Part 7, Alien and Nightmare 2 and Nightmare 7. Then I've got some horror cups. Got a Jason mask as well here on the second shelf. Got some horror cups from Spirit Halloween that were $2.50 each. So go to Spirit Halloween and buy some horror movie cups. They're really awesome. Oh shit, it just opened up. I thought I closed the stream for a second there. There we go. Oh, we got Kyle in the chat. How's it going, Kyle? Good to see you, man. What did you think of Halloween Ends? Did you like it? Actually, all you guys, tell me what you thought of Halloween Ends. Just give me a little blurb, or tell me something you really liked and really disliked, and we'll talk about it. Courtney says, Halloween 1, 2018, and Kills was the trilogy. I would almost agree with that, but Kills ends super open-ended with Karen getting stabbed to death. You can almost do this. This is almost what I might do in the future sometimes if I'm just trying to power through these movies. I might watch Halloween 2018 and then watch Halloween Kills and then start Ends from after Corey kills Michael, just like the final showdown with Laurie in the kitchen. Because that would be satisfying enough, watching the first 2 movies and then cutting immediately to the fight with Laurie and Michael in the kitchen and everything that happens after that. I think that would be fine. Although I'm going to be real, even though I'm not super crazy about Halloween Ends, I still do like it for what it tried to do. Like, as a solo Halloween movie or a solo anthology Halloween movie, I do like it. I don't love it. Courtney Reed, flat. Something I did really like about Halloween, I almost said Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, something I'll say good about Corey is that, I'll say something bad first. When he went to the tunnel to take the mask from Michael and they were wrestling, that was some of the worst stuff I've ever seen in a Halloween movie ever. Like, just, I don't need to see that. I don't need to see Michael getting beat up by a 21-year-old kid and having his mask taken from him. Like, no, that's some fucking bullshit, honestly. It's completely disrespectful to Michael Myers' character. Saps any sort of like scariness he might have had left in him. Like, I honestly feel a little bit bad for James Hugh Courtney because his Michael Myers is probably the best Michael since Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. Like, he's fucking almost perfect, and they didn't do him justice in this movie. They made him look like a weak, pathetic guy. Like, he didn't feel like Michael Myers at all. They should have had him weak at the start if they wanted to do that, and then had him kill like 5 or 6 people and get his power back, and then fucking tear up the town. That's what I was waiting for. I wanted one big final slash fest from Michael on his way to Laurie's house, because he can't go back to the Myers house because they demolished it. We just didn't get that. I mean, Corey this is what I was going to say. I like when Corey goes to the junkyard as Michael and his bullies are there and he fucks up all the bullies. Like, the blowtorch kill on the main bully kid was fucking cool. Like, they did a really good job with the blowtorch kill. And then even the other kills, beating the one girl with the huge wrench and stabbing Buddy through the nose with his drumstick, and then crushing the girl's head who was underneath the fencing under the car or under the truck. That was all super good. And when Corey was walking around as Michael, it honestly still kind of felt like Michael. Like, I was fine with those scenes. And had they done this in another Halloween movie, like if it was the next movie and Corey was just the killer throughout the whole thing, or it was like there's Corey and then there's a Michael killer, but you're never really seeing them together, and then at the end you find out it's actually been Corey the whole time, kind of thing. I'd be totally down for that. That'd be a cool movie. I just don't want it for my final film in the trilogy. Like this, I wanted a big final awesome showdown with Michael versus Laurie, and of Michael just slashing up the town, and or at least slashing up some people, and we really didn't get that. And that's personally why I'm disappointed. It didn't deliver on what it promised to. Like, the trailers were like Michael versus Laurie, and literally the entire fight was in the trailer. Like, I don't know. I find that pretty unforgivable. Not to mention that the whole fight was basically in the trailers. I went back and watched some of the Halloween Kills trailers after I saw the movie, and I was like, holy shit, I'm really glad I didn't watch these, because it'd be totally spoiled and I would be even less satisfied than I already was. Hey, Rob Fraser, how's it going? Or Fraser Rob? I assume it's I don't know. We talk all the time. He's a good guy. Okay, Corey. Oh my God, I got Corey stuck in my head now. 2018 Kills and Ends was supposed to be the same night. What do you think the ends could have been if COVID didn't happen to delay Kills? That's what I was saying. Like, there's no way in hell they had the Corey shit planned when they were making 2018, because 2018 Kills and Ends was all supposed to be the same night. And I really wish they had been the same night. Can you imagine how epic the third movie in the trilogy would be if it opened with Karen dead, Laurie's like, fuck this shit, and she's going on a rampage trying to find Michael. She goes around across town to the Myers house. Michael's gone, like, killing people while she's on the way. Like, they could have had a final showdown in the Myers house. Like, oh my God. Like, I actually was hoping this movie would open with Laurie living in the Myers house, waiting for Michael to come back. Like, I thought for sure that she was going to buy the shit out of the Myers house and just live in it herself. Like, I thought that's what was going to happen. And I think that would have been so much cooler, having Laurie, while still being afraid, she's like, I'm going to fucking put myself right in the middle of a fire, and like, if Michael's coming back, he's coming here, so we're gonna have this encounter. Like, I that's what I wanted from this movie. Not like, I actually really like Laurie's character in Ends. Like, she's all happy again, and it's actually a really, really good version of Laurie Strode. But considering that three of her friends were killed 44 years ago, or 40 years ago in 2018 in Kills, took her 40 years to get over it. She could not get over it no matter what. Even though Michael had been locked up the entire time, no reason to think he was getting out. Well, I suppose he had broken out the night they came to get her, but like, you think after the 15, 20 year mark, you'd be okay. And like, she let it destroy her life. And then 2018 Kills comes around, he kills half the fucking town, like, and then murders her daughter. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, it's all good. You know what? I went to therapy. I'm not worried anymore. Like, Michael's still on the loose, but who gives a shit? I don't have to worry. I'm going to leave my back door unlocked. And like, it just feels so different from the character that she was in the previous two movies. And I understand that she was getting therapy and stuff like that, but it just didn't really, I don't know. It didn't land for me. It was just, it's too different from the other two movies. And I just, it's going to take me a long time to get over the disappointment from this movie. That's for sure. Best shape: Cass, Courtney, Aaron Armstrong, Dick Warlock, Tyler Maine. Castle, I assume I'm supposed to say. Obviously Nick Castle is the original, so he's probably the best, but Nick, like, not like Nick Castle aside, just thinking about the other Myers, it's James Jude Courtney. Like Michael Myers in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills is pretty much fucking perfect. Like especially in Kills, Michael Myers is a fucking force of nature in Halloween Kills. I know a lot of people shit on that movie, and I wasn't like super into it when it first came out. But now that I've seen it like 4 or 5 times, and I've seen Halloween Ends has actually made me appreciate Kills more. I actually really like Kills. Like that is when John Carpenter said that's the quintessential slasher movie. I understand what he was saying, because Michael just fucking kills everybody in that movie. Like like Lindsay Wallace is so lucky to have survived that movie, because he fucking killed everyone else. Like she is so lucky. And then in Ends, she doesn't see him at all, or Corey. So I'm glad she survived. I'll say that. But she had no role in Ends. Is it Dick Warlock that's Michael in Halloween 4 and 6? Because I really honestly, I like them all. I don't have a problem with any of them. Even Tyler Mane was a really good Michael. I didn't like seeing his face in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Like I didn't like the whole hobo Myers thing that was going on with his beard underneath the mask and his face, half his face out. And although I will say I rewatched that movie recently, and I'm sure Robbie Sabo will probably appear in the comments, but I used to fucking hate the shit out of that movie. Like I thought it was absolute trash. And I hadn't watched it in probably like 8-9 years, maybe. Like it was a long time. I was just done with that movie completely. And this year I decided, I watch the franchise every year, and the last few years I've skipped the Rob Zombie films, and Rob Zombie 1 and especially Rob Zombie 2, because it had been so long since I saw that. So decided to give them another chance. And this might be controversial, but I actually had a decent time with it this time around. I don't know if it's just because I'm so used to all the over-the-top violence from 2018 Kills and stuff, but I remember when I originally saw RZH2 back in the day, I was like, fuck, that's like so over-the-top violent. We don't need it to be like that. Like, subtlety is better. And then now that we've had fucking Halloween Kills, I'm like, oh, you know what? It's not that bad. There's still some super brutal kills in that movie. Like, don't get me wrong, but it just didn't seem as over-the-top brutal as I remembered it. And I remember hating Laurie and hating everyone, like especially Laurie. I thought Laurie was like just a bitch in that movie, honestly. But when I watched it this time, I was fine with it. Like I understood that she was all fucked up from the first movie, and not that I didn't understand that before, but it landed a little bit better with me this time around. That's not to say it's an amazing movie. It's still towards my lower end of Halloween movies, but it's one I'm probably gonna continue to watch every year now. And I don't know, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Let's see here. Oh, we got Brett in the chat. How's it going? Drive safe, Brett. Don't crash. Real. Oh, fuck yeah. Dick Warlock's Halloween 2. Who is it in Halloween 4 and 6? Because despite the mask in 4, I actually do like him as Michael Myers. Yes, Dick Warlock in 2. I actually this is also going to be controversial, but Halloween 78 is definitely the best film in the franchise. Like, there's no debating that. Like, Halloween 1 is the best. But the one I like watching the most is actually Halloween 2. Like, I fucking love Halloween 2 so much. I find it's the perfect continuation, like a perfect sequel, basically, to a horror movie. Like, one of the most perfect. It just expertly picks up where the last one ended off. You get to see the ending of the first one at the beginning of that one. Awesome new score. Michael was super scary, even more kills. And Laurie encounters Michael way longer in the second one. In the first one, she runs into him for like 15 minutes or something like that. And this one is just like half the movie she's like escaping from him, even though sometimes she's like sleeping in a car and stuff. But I really, really love Halloween 2. I consider it the best sequel of them all. Fight me. I don't know. I see some people underrating it these days, and I'm just like, really? It's the original sequel and best sequel. I don't get some of the disdain for it. I think it's really good. Halloween 4 is fucking amazing too. Like, the mask is honestly not that great, but it's grown on me over the years, and when it's in the shadows, it's fine. And the entire rest of Halloween 4 is just straight up good. Like, Jamie, Rachel. The scene at the sheriff's house where they're climbing on the roof and they have to get down, and then the whole finale of that movie is just so good. Is this movie better than the last one? Halloween Ends better than Halloween Kills? Personally, I would say I like Kills more than Ends because Michael and Halloween Kills is just perfect. Like, they did such a good job with him. Just so many kills, and it's honestly not a bad continuation of 2018. When you watch them together, they fit together pretty fucking good. And people might not like this, but I like Halloween Kills a lot more than Ends. I'd watch Kills any day over Ends. Sorry. But Ends seems to be you either love it or hate it, or you're just torn apart on it. People are all over the place with this movie. I'll crash harder than Halloween Ends ending. See, I didn't mind. Like, honestly, the ending was kind of the only part of the movie I actually liked because it was finally Laurie versus Michael, even though we didn't get that much of it. Some people not liking the funeral procession. I actually fucking laughed when the funeral procession started because the sheriff shows up for like a second to say, "It is tonight." Someone's like, "This isn't how we do things." He's like, "It is tonight." And it's just kind of ridiculous because he literally shows up in the movie to say 3 words and he's gone. It's like, no, have him show up mid-movie, have someone call about the tunnel or whatever, have him go investigate the tunnel, have Michael kill him. There is no reason no good reason that sheriff survived this trilogy. He should have been fucking killed. He shouldn't have killed Kills, let alone making it to Ends and still surviving. Like, one of the most useless characters in a series of horror movies I've ever seen, honestly. He's like, nothing against the actor, but that character is fucking totally useless. He's basically like the mayor from Jaws, who's like, "Oh yeah, let's still have Halloween even though Michael Myers is running around." That was funny, Brett. Let me see, what else do I have to say about this movie? Allison, I'm just gonna go back to I'll just talk about some of the characters. Allison, I thought, was totally wasted in this movie. Like, I know she had a decent amount of screen time, and I actually did like all of her scenes with Laurie, like them talking and even talking with Lindsay. Like, it was really nice to see them catch up and see where they were after Halloween Kills and stuff. I wish there was some sort of flashback to Laurie showing up at the Myers house and finding Karen's body and all that shit, but whatever. I guess they decided to move past all that and have her be done with it. What did I just talk about? Oh my god, why am I blanking right now? Yeah, Allison. She just was basically there for like CW relationship drama with Corey, and that's not why I went to this movie. I did not go to this movie to see Allison being super horny for some new guy that she met 2 days ago, who she's willing to throw her entire life away for. Like, and then she's doubting Laurie, and it's like, you doubted her your entire life, and she was fucking right about Michael Myers. He killed half the fucking town. He killed your mother. He killed your father. It's like, Laurie's fucking right. And then immediately when Laurie's like, "Oh, I think something's up," you dismiss her? What the fuck? Like, you think you'd learn your lesson. Listen to your grandmother. She knows what she's talking about. And then you didn't listen, and your boyfriend was a serial killer, and you're probably pregnant with Satan's spawn. It's your own fault, Allison. I can't believe they wasted like the actress Andy. She did a great job. Like, she was a great actress in the movie. She was just totally sidelined as this random relationship drama bullshit. I just didn't like it. And then, not to mention, she shows up after Michael is already beaten at the end. She doesn't get a chase scene. She doesn't get a scene to be like scared of Michael or whatever. She just runs in, breaks his arm, and that's it. Like, totally wasted her in this movie. I think I've already talked about Lindsay, but Lindsay was an afterthought in this movie. I saw on Twitter, it was like, "What was your favorite Lindsay part about Lindsay and Halloween Ends?" And I said, I really liked when she poured that drink and stopped that bar fight, because that's the most shit she did in the whole movie. And she read some tarot cards. Like, she really did nothing in this movie. That said, I'm glad she didn't die in this movie, because I thought for sure if she returned, she was dying. Or I thought at least either her or Laurie was dead for sure. But just a total afterthought, and even more so, or but the same really. Hawkins, what, like they were setting him up in Halloween Kills with the flashbacks and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get Michael," and yada yada yada, and like he was all injured because of Sartain, but it had to do with Michael, and it's like we just wasted him. He was there to make some eyes at Laurie in the grocery store and to flirt a bit, and then at the end to be like, "Hey, let's go to fucking Japan," or whatever. Which I like. Like, I'm glad Laurie got a happy ending, but it's just Hawkins should have done more. Like, maybe even have him show up to the junkyard and find all the bodies and be like, "Oh my God, Michael's back," or something. Like, even just that would have been good enough, but they just fucking wasted him. Let's see here. Then we need to watch them all together. You talking about 2018 Kills Ends? Because I did that the day Ends came out. I watched 2018 that morning. Then in the afternoon, I watched Kills. And then in the evening, I watched Ends. And honestly, I was really enjoying 2018 Kills a lot when I watched them that day, because I was so fucking hyped for Ends. And then I watched Ends, and halfway through the movie, I turned around and was looking at everyone, and they were all like stunned. And I was like, I'm not liking this movie so far. And then the rest of the movie played out, and it was okay. But yeah. How do you bring Halloween back is the real question. There's a few different ways they could do it. They could, I think it was Dave McRae was talking about this. They could go the anthology route and have movies set in the Halloween 2018 Kills Ends world, but just not have Michael Myers in it, like just stuff happening, stuff going on in Haddonfield. I would be okay with that as long as they had like a good story to do it and not just forcing it. Another route they could do is like, I don't know if they should redo Halloween 3, but maybe revisit Halloween 3 and the stuff that was going on there with the Silver Shamrock Mass. And a direct sequel would actually be pretty cool, but I don't know how that would work, or if audiences would really respond to it that well. But I was talking to my friend Joe about this, and he was saying that it'd be really cool if they did like a Halloween series, like a streaming series, where every episode is at least an hour long, and it goes back and like corrects things that were fucked up in previous movies, or just plot lines that were left dangling. So like we go back and we have like a 2 or 3 episode arc dedicated to like Danielle Harris and Halloween 4. So it would be like either a direct sequel to Halloween 4 or 5. If it was 4, you could bring back the actress who plays Rachel, and that would be amazing, because then we get Rachel back in a certain continuity and Danielle, and see it play out from there, like another final encounter with Michael Myers. And you don't have to worry about it being super high budget, because it's on a streaming service, and they can actually get like the most of what they're doing with their budget versus just like throwing money at stuff. And then you can have another series of episodes that goes back to, say, Halloween 6. So we see where Michael went after killing Loomis, because I assume they would do it off of the actual cut. But they could do 2 different ones. They could do an episode that goes off of the Halloween 6 theatrical cut, and then they can do another one that goes off the Halloween 6 producer's cut. Like they could just jump all around, do whatever they want. And this is going to be probably controversial, but I would actually like to see a series of those episodes dedicated as a sequel to Halloween Resurrection. I would like to see what happens after Michael wakes up in that morgue. I know the original plan for Halloween 9 was going to be that, I don't know if any of you guys know this, I'm sure some of you might, but the original plan for Halloween 9, the sequel to Resurrection, was that scene at the end with the morgue where Michael is laying on the table and she unzips the thing and he opens his eyes last second. All of that was supposed to be part of a reality TV show on Dangertainment. So they were all actors, including the Michael, and it was going to be revealed that this was like a Dangertainment TV show. Thank fucking God that didn't happen. But every time I see that ending now, I'm like, oh, well, this was actually not even Michael. So I don't know how to feel about it, but I would like to see a follow-up to it in this series, or like a follow-up to even like the Rob Zombie films and bring back Scout Taylor Compton. And I know they kind of wrapped it up in the director's cut because they all die. But it's also left kind of ambiguous because she's in like the mental institution or whatever, and she's seeing shit and the White Horse and shit. So you could, and we were supposed to get Halloween 3D, so they could follow up on that storyline if they wanted to. Although it did kind of have an okay ending, really, for them. Something like that. Like, I don't think we have to go back and be like, okay, Danielle Harris, we're giving her 3 more movies as Jamie Lloyd, and then boom, boom, boom. I don't think we need to do that. I'm kind of sick of everything having to be a fucking trilogy. Everything doesn't have to be a trilogy. You can just have a good movie with a sequel or something like that, or even with no sequels. Everything doesn't have to be a trilogy. When you force things into being a trilogy, when you don't have an actual plan, that's how we end up with Force Awakens, The Last Turd, and Rise of Skywalker. Like, those movies were not thought out at all. And then it's kind of the same with Halloween. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. They didn't properly plan out the trilogy, and it derailed itself. Brett says new timeline. Yeah, that's what I was saying. You could pick up from one of the other movies or something. Or if you really wanted, they could use the Halloween Returns name, because they were going to do a movie called Halloween Returns, and they had a whole script for it and everything. If you go over to We Watch the Movies YouTube channel, they actually did a video talking about the script, the Halloween Returns script. It's pretty interesting to listen to. But that name, Halloween Returns, would be the perfect name to bring back like a Halloween sequel. Although people might think it's a sequel to Halloween Ends, but it'd be awesome. Use the name Halloween Returns, have a new cast. Maybe in that movie, you can say, have it be like, I guess, a sequel to the first movie, but just say, like, this shit happened in 1978. He got away, and then he was never heard from again. But there's been like disappearances and stuff ever since, and people think it might be him every year, kind of thing. And then you just have a new set of characters, no Strodes, no. What am I thinking here? Like, just no anything we've seen before. Just have an entirely new cast of characters going up against Michael Myers. Honestly, I don't even know if I want to see the Myers house. We've seen the Myers house so many goddamn times. I'd like a fresh Halloween story. And that's why I really like H2O, is because it's not set in Haddonfield. It's one of the only, or is it the only Halloween? I think it's the only Halloween movie set somewhere else. I think so. Yeah. And I like that. I like that it's Michael killing somewhere else. Like, every fucking movie doesn't have to be Haddonfield over and over and over and over and over again. Like, it starts to get tired out. It's like Scream using Woodsboro all the time. It's like Woodsboro in the first movie, and the Woodsboro in 4, and Woodsboro in 5. I'm so glad that Scream 6 is going to be set in New York, because I don't want to see Woodsboro again. If they do Woodsboro in Scream 7, I'll roll my eyes. But I'm honestly hoping it's just like a completely new location. Brett, seed of Michael. Well, that's what I was saying earlier about Corey banging Allison, is that she probably has the spawn of Satan inside her now, and it's her own fault. They could go that route and say that, like, Allison's son somehow inherited the evil through Corey's evil jizz or something. Who knows? I really don't know what they're going to do. Thoughts on JLC disrespecting Danielle Harris and Scout at the premiere? Okay, so I actually listened to their podcast, or at least that section of their podcast, earlier. And for those of you that don't know, Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor Compton went to an after party, and Jamie Lee Curtis was there, and they have somehow never met her before after all this time. Like, how have they not met Jamie Lee Curtis by now? And anyway, they go up to introduce themselves to her, and Danielle Harris specifically is like, "Hey, I'm Danielle Harris. I was in the Halloween movies. I played your daughter, Jamie Lloyd, blah, blah, blah." And Jamie Lee Curtis is just like, "I don't watch those films. I don't know who you are." And Danielle Harris was like incredibly disappointed, and she said that she cried. And I guess Scout Taylor Compton, who plays Laurie in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2, went up to her and said, like, hey, I'm Laurie. I played you in these movies, and blah, blah, blah. And I guess she got the same response from Jamie Lee Curtis. And even further than that, I heard that, or I read that Heather Langenkamp from Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 3, and 7, like Nancy, I heard that she got brushed off by Jamie Lee Curtis, which is like mind-boggling. Like maybe Jamie Lee Curtis was just exhausted, but like just try to be a person and like interact with these other scream queens. Like it's not that difficult. Now, through some like searching on this topic, I did find out that Scout and Danielle had been pretty thoroughly trashing Halloween 2018 and Kills basically ever since Danielle didn't get cast in Halloween 2018. So there's always the chance, and this is what my friend was saying, there's always the chance that Jamie Lee Curtis somehow was informed about their trash talking of her films, and that led her to be like, you know what, fuck you. So it's very possible that that's what it was. She knew that Danielle and Scout had been saying not so nice things about her other two movies, and then when she finally saw them, she decided to snub them. Like it's very possible. But if that's not the case, and she actually was just like, oh, I don't know you, and kind of shuffled them along, that's fucking rude. Like that sours me a little bit towards Jamie Lee Curtis. She could have just been having a bad day, and I hope that's what it was, because Danielle Harris deserves better than that. She honestly does. She's brought so much to the Halloween franchise. She's the second most important main star. Like Jamie Lee Curtis was obviously in like 7 Halloween movies. Danielle Harris was in 4. Like she was in Halloween 4 and 5 and Rob Zombie's 1 and 2. And I find it kind of ridiculous that maybe Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't watch horror movies. Sure. You could have at least watched the other Halloween movies at some point in the last 44 fucking years, and especially brushing up for 2018 Kills Ends and like the themes from the other movies and stuff. Like how do you not know? Like how do you not know? It's just, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way, but it's honestly hard to say who's in the right and who's not. Let me see here. Bro, Scream 7 better be in the Bahamas. That would be funny if they did that. It would just be kind of like I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I think it would be cool if Scream 7, I know I was just saying stop doing the same locations, but instead of going back to Woodsboro, maybe it would be cool to have the final finale in LA, kind of like how they had Scream 3. I think that would be kind of cool, but again, that's reusing a location they already use, and they almost should have just let the finale be in New York, maybe. I don't know. I would imagine they're going to go back to Woodsboro if it's the final Scream movie. I would presume they're going to go back to Woodsboro. Although who fucking knows what they're going to do in Scream 6. I still haven't gotten over what they did to Dewey in Scream 5. Like that's never going to sit well with me. And I'm just worried that they're going to do the same thing in Scream 6, and we're going to lose Courtney Cox or something like that. I just, if Courtney Cox dies in Scream 6, I'm going to be so disappointed. Just so disappointed. Oh my, we got Michael Myers in the chat. What's up, Michael? I killed Corey because I no longer saw the evil in his eyes. I did, however, see it in Allison's. That actually kind of reminds me, I'm sure some of you guys have heard about this, but the original ending for Halloween Ends, they were going to do the scene in the kitchen where like Michael gets fucked up or whatever, but instead of doing the funeral procession and taking him to get grinded up, they were going to take him to a funeral home, put him in a cremation thing with his mask on, and they were going to just burn him, which probably they should have done, because I kind of wanted to see Michael burn like Halloween 2 in 2018, like actually burn this time. But I guess Laurie was supposed to like look at him, and there's supposed to be another transfer or something. And then Allison comes into the funeral home, and Laurie chokes her or something. And she tells her to get out and leave Haddonfield because she can't control herself. Like, what a fucking horrible, horrible ending that would have been. Like, thank fucking God somebody vetoed that when we at least got the ending we did. Because can you imagine if we got the Halloween Ends movie that we did, except the ending has Laurie being possessed by the evil and choking Allison? Fuck that. Now we got Corey in the chat. Damn you, Michael. Well, Corey, you shouldn't have underestimated Laurie. That was your problem. You underestimated Laurie, and she fucked you up right away. That's it. You underestimated her, and 2 shots, and you're done, bud. Like you should have tried a bit harder. Laurie fucking Strode. She's been through this shit before. Let's see here. Michael Myers, did you write that post in the Halloween fan group on Facebook last night? What post was that, Courtney? Corey Cunningham, I'm glad they made Ends all about you. Don't lie, Courtney. Don't lie. No, most likely an imposter. Yeah, I've seen a few people using like Michael Myers accounts. There's one guy in particularly, I don't know if he still has it anymore, but he posts some interesting stuff sometimes. Oh shit, Michael and Corey about to fight in the chat. I wish they had fought like halfway through the movie and we could have been done with that storyline, but oh well. Michael Myers probably Michael from a different timeline. Can you imagine if, and I know that at some point this idea was toyed with, I don't remember by who, but can you imagine if they did like Halloween multiverse and it like somehow all the Michaels from each movie got drawn into like one Haddonfield and the characters are like Jamie Lloyd or like Laurie Strodes or whoever have to like avoid every Michael, like all the Michaels competing to kill him. That would be insane. It'd be fucking dumb, but it'd be kind of cool to see. The car crusher was the most painful thing. It took me 6 hours to rebuild myself. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me. Like if this was the 80s and we had the ending of Halloween Ends, so we did spoilers at the very end of Halloween Ends. Michael gets ground up in like this car grinder thing. And if this was the 80s, I could totally see the next movie coming along and like that night after they grind him up, lightning strikes the blood on like the spot on the ground where his guts and his blood dripped on and it resurrects him somehow, like his body reforms and now he's like zombie Michael, like zombie Jason. I could totally fucking see them doing that. I'd honestly be fine if they Jason Lives Michael and made him full on supernatural because we haven't really seen that. I would like to see that. Even though in Kills, he's clearly supernatural. Like he fucking destroyed half the town. So Corey, yeah, Michael Myers, it took me 6.5 hours to crack my neck back into place. He should have spun his neck all the way around, like completely around on his shoulders. That would have been awesome. Michael, serves you right. You took my mask and humiliated me in front of my friends. Your friends being, yeah, and I was gonna say your friends being your fans. Yeah, Michael in Halloween Ends was a little embarrassing. There's not really another way to put it. He was kind of like, even though you kind of feel his presence through the movie because he like infects Corey with his evil or whatever, and then Corey's out doing shit, so you kind of feel Michael through that. But let's be real. Michael kills 2 fucking people in this movie. One he has to have brought to him by his buddy Corey, who he's hanging out in the sewer with. And then he stabs him up and he like he starts shaking and gyrating from killing. And then when I saw that, actually, I was like, okay, he's going to kill some people. He's going to power back up. He's going to be back to Michael and he's going to go fucking fuck some people up. It doesn't happen. But yeah, so he kills the one cop guy with the assistance of Corey. He kills the doctor, Corey kills the doctor and he kills the nurse because Corey brought him there to the house. And then that's it. That's it. 2, unless I'm forgetting something, 2 kills for Michael Myers. Oh, Corey, I guess 3. He killed Corey at the very end after Laurie already shot him, but 3 kills. I know he killed like 3 or 4 people in the original, but this is not the original movie. This is the final movie in the trilogy. They could have even done flashbacks. Other people have said this. They could have even done flashbacks to show him who he was killing between movies or something like that. Even like 1 or 2 more kills for Michael would have been something. Michael Myers, yeah, and can I humiliate you again? Corey and Michael still going at it in the comments. All right, I think I'm gonna just wrap this up for now. I might do another stream with a few other YouTubers, and we'll get into Halloween Ends and talk about it a little bit more. But my final thoughts on the movie are: while I enjoy it as a solo film, and I like some of the ideas that they were trying, and I do like the movie now that I'm over the disappointment, it still is the biggest disappointment I've ever had in a Halloween movie. Well, not ever had. It's my biggest disappointment in 20 years since Halloween Resurrection. It's my biggest disappointment since that movie. And obviously, Halloween Resurrection killed Laurie Strodes at the start, and it's unforgivable what they did with H2O Laurie, but it really is my biggest disappointment since Resurrection in the Halloween franchise. Thanks for joining, Courtney. Really great having you here as always. I'll figure out how to get you to be a mod sooner or later. Yes, you too, Brett, of course. Corey and Michael still going at it. Is this the same person, I wonder? Fighting with each other? This is kind of coincidental. We got Corey and Michael in the chat there. But yeah, it's the biggest disappointment I've had in a Halloween movie, even more so than RZH2, because I didn't really expect much from RZH2 to begin with. And I think over time, once the disappointment has settled a little bit, I will grow to like the movie as its own thing. But as the finale of this trilogy and everything that was building up to now, it was a total letdown and disappointment, and not what I wanted from the end of Halloween. Like, obviously, we're going to have more Halloween movies eventually. But for this timeline in this series of films, it was just a lackluster ending. There's nothing really more I can say about it. Oh, it looks like Corey killed Michael Myers killed Corey and is now using his Instagram or his YouTube account. Well, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget, October 31st, we've got the Indiegogo for the Haddonfield Nightmare 2, aka the Final Nightmare. That's going to be super awesome. Make sure to get your Blu-rays and all your other perks. There's going to be an early access thing coming this Friday, I think. So make sure to keep a lookout for that. I'll make posts about it once it's out. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Have a happy Halloween.